And we are live. I'm here with my co-host Nathan. This is Ring the Bell podcast number 22. We're going to be talking about Usyk, Gassiev, Smith, Munguia, the upcoming Parker, Dillian Whyte fight, some other stuff as well. David Price is in action on Friday at a small, at Bolton Football Stadium, but not on the pitch, in a small hotel attached to the stadium. Some weird stuff going on, some interesting stuff going on. How are you, Nathan?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's very hot here today in Cambodia, but I am not bad. Not bad. Let's start with the Usyk Gassiev fight, because obviously it was probably the biggest fight of the weekend. What did you make of this fight, Nathan?
I enjoyed the fight. I thought Usyk put on a masterclass.
He really did. He really did. And to a certain extent, he put on such a masterclass that for me, I kind of tuned out after 9 rounds, because it was like, yeah, he's won this fight convincingly now. But yeah, he looked very good. He's got probably the quickest hands for the division, masterful combinations, incredible footwork. But the thing is, we kind of knew all that stuff about him already. And so I don't want to be too down on him. But if he's moving up to heavyweight, he does need to put on or find a bit of power from somewhere, because he does seem to not be finishing these guys.
I think he will at heavyweight. He'll do well. I don't know if he'll win a world title or not. He may do. I don't know.
The problem is,
but he'll do some heavyweight.
The problem is he still gets hit occasionally, as does every boxer. And if he gets hit by Wilder or AJ, and he cannot keep them off him because he's got not enough power to keep them off, he might have a problem against those guys. I'd love to see him fight someone like Hughie Fury, though. That would be a really technical battle.
You got to say he will be in the top like 10 or 12 fights.
100%, 100%. He's such a big cruiserweight anyway that, yeah, 100%. Maybe when he... Yeah, 100%. Maybe when he stops cutting weight, he'll gain a bit of power anyway.
Yeah, and he'll look better. I think he'll do what Bellew did at cruiserweight.
Possibly, very possibly. So yeah, very, very impressive, dominating win. It shouldn't go unmentioned that he is the first guy to unify all 4 belts in the division. Obviously, it's been done before with 3 belts, but yeah, it's quite an impressive thing. And it's very good for the WBSS tournament as a whole, for the first tournament to end with us knowing who is the best cruiserweight in the world. That's really good. I like that.
The problem is, like we said, he's won all four belts. The first time it's been done in that way. And, he's more or less won the lineal as well, I think, in ring. I'm not really sure. But
I'm pretty sure he must have done. This
has never been done before at cruiserweight. I mean, David Haye won all 3 belts, so did... But anyway, Holyfield, that's a different era.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy in this era to even be able to get all 4 belts in the same tournament. We're going to see it with the bantamweight division as well, I believe, next season. Obviously, we didn't quite have that with 168 this year. It doesn't look like we're going to have that with 140, but still, it's good to see. It is good to see the overall number 1 best in the world from one division we know for sure is Usyk, and fair play to him. He pretty much dominated that tournament, as a lot of people thought he was going to, so you still got to go out there and do it. Fair play to him. Then we'll move on to the Smith and Gassiev Munguia fight. Did you catch this one?
I only watched the highlights of it, but I saw that Munguia dropped him in the 5th. Was it the 4th round?
I think it was the 5th. You're right, on the first time there.
It looked fairly competitive, up to certain points.
It was a close fight. Liam Smith put on a brave display, and it was a good performance, and it probably would have beat a lot of guys on that night. Like, if he'd have been fighting Saddam Ali, he would have won. If he'd have put that performance in against Kell Brook, it would have been a close fight. But this Munguia guy is just a freak. He's huge for 154. He's 21 years old, and he doesn't run out of stamina. Like, he was throwing bombs from round 1 to round 12 with the same snap on them that they had in round 1. Like, maybe it had lost 5 or 10%, but he didn't drain anywhere nearly as much as a usual power puncher drains by the end of a fight. So I was dead impressed with his stamina and his size and his power, but he's not technically the best boxer. Like, I think Smith caught him a lot, and if Smith had more power on his shots, he might have been able to catch him out. And I think, you're looking at Charlo, Hurd, Brook. Those guys can find that chin. They can find it, and they'll find it with power, and they'll find it consistently. So
they're gearing Munguia up as the next Canelo, aren't they? Really, when you look at it the way they do.
I mean, fair play to him. Like, he's at a perfect moment in his life right now. He's a 21-year-old world champion in a weight class that he's massive for, and he'd be quite a big middleweight. So even if he can move up to middleweight, and he'll still be a big fighter. So it's good to see someone coming through in those divisions to challenge the likes of, your Daniel Jacobs, your Billy Joe Saunders, your Canelo, your Golovkin, because otherwise, if there's not any new guys coming up in that division, when Golovkin Canelo's over, there'll be Billy Joe Saunders, and that's about it, because obviously GGG's already fought Jacobs. I mean, Canelo's not fought Jacobs yet, but you get my point anyway.
I mean, it's a tough division, that super welterweight.
It really is at the moment. I used to diss it because it's always been a division that was a transient division. People never really wanted to be 154. You were either too big for 147, or you were too small for 160, and so you fought at 154. But now there's a lot of guys in that division that are like actual very, very skilled and talented performers and fighters. It's one of the most interesting divisions. I kind of was wishing that the WBSS would be that division this year, because I think they could have got Charlo, Hurd, Brook, maybe Khan. It would have been a great division as well, but maybe we'll get it another year anyway. So yeah, great win for Munguia. Smith, valiant in defeat, no shame in defeat really. He probably just wasn't, I mean, it's not that he didn't even put in a good performance, it's just that Munguia was so naturally freakish for that weight class. That's kind of the real explanation of why Smith lost. He couldn't hurt Munguia, and Munguia could hurt him. And so, I mean, Smith showed a great chin. Other than getting wobbled with a temple shot and knocked down, he could have been out of there many times. He was getting roughed up in certain rounds. But yeah, no shame in defeat for Smith. He'll go back down to European level. Maybe get one more world title shot before he retires.
I think Smith will get another world title shot before he goes.
Oh, before he retires, he definitely will. But I just think the best thing for him now is take him to European level, get him fights against guys that aren't going to take his head off with every shot. That's because he's fought Canelo and he's fought Munguia, quite recently, and they're both tough losses that he's taken in fights where he had to soak up a lot of punishment. You wouldn't want to put him in another back-to-back one of those. So, yeah, and he had the tough fights with, was it Liam Williams as well, with all the headbutts and the cuts, and so you know what I mean. Get him a nice, not easy, but just good European fight, and get him back to winning ways. It wasn't a poor performance from Smith, like I say. So, yeah, he can hold his head up proud, even in defeat, really. I wanted to move on to this crazy fucking bit of fighting that went down. I only saw the highlights of this fight. Mohammadi versus Chudanov. Now, you didn't see this one, did you?
No.
So I'll quickly go over this article from worldboxingnews.net. Muhammadi was basically robbed, according to everyone. Uh, it was obviously in Moscow, and Chudinov is Russian. And Muhammadi, after the fight, he refused to leave the ring. Uh, like two judges had it close, and apparently, like you can't really argue too much with these scores: 116, 112, 115, 113. Like it apparently there is still big argument even over those ones. But one judge had it 118, 111 to Chudinov, and apparently Chudinov quite obviously lost this fight. So the scoring was wild, and people are calling for the WBA to obviously order an immediate rematch. So yeah, that's all a little bit fucking dodgy, suspect, and crazy. You know, I saw the highlights of this fight, so obviously the highlights can make stuff look biased, but it did seem like Chudinov didn't really win. And that does seem to be the general consensus. So, just an interesting little bit of news. Did you happen to catch the Maris Bradis fight?
No, I didn't. He won.
This was dull. It was dull. So don't worry about it. It was like a routine. It was. I think it went the distance, but it wasn't very interesting. I was tuning in and out of it. He won, but he didn't look as that great, and the guy he was fighting wasn't really very well known. It was kind of a poor card, other than the main event overall. You have to kind of say that. But yeah, it's good that the tournament's completed. Like I said, it's good to see one cruiserweight champion that is the best. You know, like we've already covered all that. But yeah, you sent me a little piece of news about this Friday, and I find this quite interesting. David Price is fighting at a hotel in Bolton, attached to the Bolton Football Stadium. And he's fighting. I can't actually even see him on this card anymore. I don't know if he is even on this. Oh, he is, but he's fighting TBA. Jesus. And we've got Jimmy Kilrain Kelly on the card as well.
I don't know who he's fighting.
Yeah, he's fighting TBA. And this card's supposed to be happening on Friday, and they haven't got opponents yet for these guys. Ben Sheedy versus Matthew Wigglesworth is the main event. BBB of C Central Area middleweight title. Now, shout out to Ben Sheedy. I actually do enjoy watching him fight. I don't think he's a bad fighter. He's had 10 wins and 1 loss. The 1 loss. Oh, sorry. It was 1 draw, and it was I didn't actually see that fight, so I can't really comment on it, to be fair. But I don't think he's a bad fighter. From what I've seen of him, I think he'll probably beat Matthew Wigglesworth. So it's an interesting little card there. But you know, it's not great competition. Is this an IFL show?
I haven't checked, but I figure it must be.
I think it is, because I think I saw them post on my subscription feed about David Price fighting in Bolton this Friday.
Exactly?
It's on YouTube. They're streaming it on YouTube.
Oh, like they did before?
Yeah. It's an MTK IFL kind of collaboration.
Can I be honest? I kind of like watching them when David Price is on. It gives me something to smile about.
Well, I think it's, you know,
I enjoy it.
It's not a bad thing. It's kind of like it's almost in a way a bit like Sky's NXT Next Gen shows. Yeah. It's like you've got small young guys who are coming through. There's a guy called Nathan Wheatley who's a 9-0 middleweight. We've actually talked about him before because we were looking like, who the hell's even coming up at British middleweight? So he's on the card. It's good to get some of these guys out there and exposed to the public. And IFL does have a big platform, so fair enough in some ways. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Jack Macy, cruiserweight. Jack Massey, I don't know how you actually pronounce his name. He's on the card, but he's fighting TBA as well. That's the one thing I would give advice to IFL. They should try and get the opponents penciled in much earlier so that they can sell the show a lot better. I was just gonna look at something you've just sent me. What's happened with Amir Khan? I've got no idea. Can you run me through this?
Basically, he was sitting next to Caitlyn Jenner, you know, the man who used to be the man.
You mean Bruce Jenner?
Yeah.
The Olympic athlete, the Olympic gold medal winning biological male. Yes, I know the person you speak of.
All the time. And people in the transgender community were outraged, apparently. They were offended.
I couldn't care less.
No, neither could I.
They're offended
so
at...
we'll move on.
No, but it's just that they're offended at everything these days. Amir Khan's a boxer. He ain't got time for thinking about LGBT issues. He's got time for fasting, boxing, training, and apparently wanking on the internet. On webcam. No, to be fair, he probably shouldn't be doing that. Like, you probably shouldn't. If someone has changed and gone to that much effort, like, you could do the courteous thing of probably not being.
Just don't sit next to them and don't mention them.
That's one thing. Like, that's sure. Like, that's one way of doing it. Or you could just like I know people on the right wing, people like Ben Shapiro, who say, like, even if I met a trans person in person, like, I might disagree with their thinking, but I'm not going to be rude to them in person. That's just uncivil. So I kind of get why people are annoyed at him. He didn't need to do that. So it's a bit. It's just Amir Khan being stupid again, isn't it?
You would have made an effort not to sit near them. You wouldn't have acknowledged them, would you? If you're in his position, if you
really exactly. That's why I think yeah. It's an interesting one. You can't win. You can't win. You can't win if you start going in at the topic that way. I think he's a bit like, it's just Amir Khan being stupid again, isn't it? Really, like, it's not.
He's very sensitive to people, and it's just.
Well, he's just.
Pakistani don't want to be racist.
But he's also just senseless in the media. Like, he's kind of tarnished his legacy a lot.
He's just a normal person from Bolton, you know what I mean? Who
I know he is, but he presented himself as this great guy who did everything for charity and was a really clean, good role model. And then, like, he's posting pictures to some other girl that he's wanking and accusing Anthony Joshua of boinking his wife and calling Caitlyn Jenner Bruce. It's not a great example, is it?
It's funny, though.
It is funny. It is entertaining, but the joke is, we're not laughing with him, we're laughing at him. And I've we've always laughed. Yeah, but I feel a bit sorry for him at this point. Like, he just needs to keep his mouth shut. Sure. Well, I mean, the whole thing seems ridiculous. We'll move on to some.
I wanted to bring it for you to talk about. Eddie Hearn did the Dazan
announcement
thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I saw that. He signed Jesse Vargas. He signed, who's the geezer that just beat Flanagan? Hooker.
Maurice Hooker, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn's been in America spending loads of money on Hooker. Oh, that's funny. And who was the other fella? Quite good. Bivol. I know he signed Bivol. Obviously, Jarrell Miller. But there was one other fairly big signing other than Vargas and Hooker. Can't remember who it was. But yeah, it was a good announcement, really, overall. But he's going to need more guys than that to get, you know. The other thing is, people forget that Anthony Joshua signed to DAZN exclusively in America.
He signed
So
Andrade as well, didn't he? Yeah, but we talked about it last week.
Andrade, that's the one.
So that was the week
Andrade.
before.
Yeah, but it's still good to remember them all in their entirety. Um, yeah, he signed Joshua to DAZN in America. So I mean, that $9.99 a month, everyone's going to pay that just to get the Joshua fights anyway. Really, like I don't know if that's 100% true, but people will definitely pay for it for that month for the Joshua fight. Although Joshua might well be his own pay-per-view on DAZN. No one really knows yet fully, so it's hard to say
Could they just
100%.
eventually bring this product over here eventually?
100% they will, but it's the same as Netflix started in America first, right? Amazon started in America only first, right? Like, it's one of those things where it will come to the UK, but it will take time, I believe, because Sky has got such a giant hold on football that the American market's very different. There's a lot more chances to bid for major sports that a lot of people watch. You have NASCAR, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, and the rights for those come up more often, like maybe every 2 years, every 3 years, every 4 years. So DAZN has a better way into the American market by buying some, top basketball games, some some of the best NFL games from the season. If they can do that, they'll get a lot of subscribers. In the UK, you'll find it very hard to get any football games off of Sky and BT. They pretty much have sewn up the market. And so DAZN it would be a very different product in England. You would have, maybe it could be a niche product for all the UK fans that do like American sports, such as NFL and NBA. But I don't know if there's a big enough market for that. So it's interesting. I think it will come to the UK, but they need to figure out what it would be in the UK, what sports they would show, because I think, generally speaking, the UK has less its sports that they're interested in. Maybe football, cricket, rugby, and there really isn't a lot more than that. So it's kind of it's a bit different, but I do think it will come to the UK eventually.
And another thing that happened at the press conference, Amir Khan was talking, and a certain Jarrell Miller came and threatening, and the words Amir Khan used were, sorry, not Amir Khan, Anthony Joshua, you're a little bit late. And then he went up and called Amir, what should I stop saying Amir Khan? Jarrell Miller kept calling Anthony Joshua's mum a whore or something.
Yeah, I saw all this, and it's just the difference between American and British banter. So you can imagine Tyson Fury has been pretty classless in the past, but he's never really cussed out someone's mum. Like, it's just a weird childish route to go down. So I don't think it was a good look for Miller, really. There's ways you can shout and get in someone's face and be disrespectful, but you don't really need to disrespect their family. Like, I'm not even sure Conor McGregor does that. Do you know what I like? Conor McGregor's, he's pretty disrespectful, Conor McGregor, but he doesn't, like, oh, you suck your mum. Like, I don't think I've ever heard him say something like that. So, yeah, I thought it was a bit crude. Didn't really think it was necessary. By all means, hype the fight. By all means, shout "fuck you," I'm gonna knock you out. You're scared of me.
Before we go on, that David Price,
I'm gonna knock you out and then eat 20 cheeseburgers in the ring, or say some shit like that. That'd be funny, but yeah.
That David Price card was on IFL TV this Friday.
It is. Yeah, it is. Subscribe to IFL. Big shout outs to IFL. It definitely just made me laugh. Cringe is the right word. It made me cringe. There was one other big thing we needed to talk about that's been added to the Parker Whyte card at very
That's correct.
short notice to replace Cook. And we've got to talk about this in a couple of contexts because people love to hate on Eddie Hearn. They really do. But do you remember what Frank Warren did to Martin Murray in terms of the Billy Joe Saunders fight? Left him without a payday after 2 training camps. Well, not only has Eddie Hearn tried to get Cook a fight, but I do believe he is paying the purse and the training camp for Cook as well, even though Cook isn't fighting.
Yeah, it's
a touchy. It's a class. But it's a classy move to still pay.
He doesn't have to do that.
No, it's a classy move to pay someone out of pocket when they're not even going to be fighting, but just because you promised them a fight. Like, it's good. I like to see that. But the fight we're talking about, Nick Webb, the late bloomer, I would say, the guy who entered boxing late, the heavyweight, fighting Dave Allen. It's an eliminator as well for the British Heavyweight Championship. So it's fascinating. Webb was last in action in February. I remember watching that fight. And obviously Dave Allen was last in action against Tony Yoka in France, losing quite convincingly, really. I think personally, this is a really obvious win for Nick Webb. I think Dave Allen has just been pushed into the journeyman lifestyle now, where he's going to take fights that will get him a good amount of money, I think, but it's going to be a losing record for Dave Allen in the near future. I personally worry for that, but I think that's the case.
What is he doing with his career? He's wasting his career, and it's going to get worse. If he loses this, it's over. Really?
Yeah, I think if he loses this, he could still turn it around and decide, right, I'm going to do this the proper way. I'm going to fight some low-level British opposition, or even get himself an area title.
But to be fair, Nick Webb hasn't fought anyone. He hasn't done anything.
No, but he's a big... I kind of disagree with this. Whilst all that's true, he's a big, heavy, powerful machine of a man. And I just think he's a better physical specimen than Dave Allen, and he'll win simply because of that. No.
I mean, really?
No, it's not hard, but I'm just saying that's my reading on the situation. But Dave Allen's weird, man. So he said, win, lose or draw, this is going to be my last fight for a while. People might say that's not the best thing to say before a fight, but it will help drive that extra 10% out of me. I've been in some good hard fights in recent years, and I think it's time to rest up and revitalise myself. So if that's how he's thinking, that's not terrible. Like, get the money from this fight, go back and have a reconsider of how you're doing your career. Fair enough. But yeah, it is a bit of a shame. I was looking forward to Cook Eggington because Eggington's not been in the ring for a while. Sure, it's a better fight, and Eggington's not been in the ring for a while, and I've kind of missed his crazy style and crazy antics.
I think he would have beaten Cook personally.
Yeah, I think so. There's an interesting comment here, like someone's just Allen's career path has been terrible, and it's true. Like. He went from fighting the right level of opposition to fighting Ortiz and Dillian Whyte.
He's fighting this week on some card somewhere.
I'm not surprised. Well, if he gets some,
I'm not sure he's fine.
It's crazy. He is actually like. I think he's lost his mind a little bit somehow. I'll check his box rec quickly though. Dave Allen box rec.
This week or next week.
Well, he's fighting next week. Oh, no, he is. You're right. He's fighting at the Rainton Meadows Arena, Houghton Le Spring. I've got no idea where that is, mate. And he's fighting TBA. And you can still get tickets if you want. It's this... it's on the 27th. So that's Friday. Yeah, it's on the Friday.
What did you see the article that I sent you about Tony Bellew against Usyk? Oh, not a
Yeah,
good
it's a
move.
terrible idea for Bellew, isn't it? I mean, it's not a great big money fight either, and I think that's why it's so fucking crazy because like you're looking at fighting one of the toughest fucking men in boxing right now in terms of their style, and the style itself is just all wrong for Bellew. It's not like he's going to catch Usyk and he'll be able to knock him out. Usyk will dance around Tony Bellew, and so yeah, it's not a good fight for Bellew. I mean, if he's going to get paid huge money,
Fight Anthony Joshua, for God's sake, if you want to get, or Tyson Fury if you want a big payday. Fight someone
yeah,
big. Or
yeah, I
fight.
agree. I personally agree with the Tyson Fury fight the most because Tyson Fury is going to need a credible opponent after he beats Pianetta, and who better than Tony? Like Tony Bellew would be a good fight.
But with the way it's looking, wouldn't Bellew just be better off walking away in hindsight? Realistic. I mean, I don't want him to, but would it be best
No,
just to walk away?
he's had a lot of tough fights where he probably didn't get paid what he deserved, and so he wants a couple fights where he's going to get paid
To make
more
up?
than he deserves. Yeah.
How much
So
did
if
he
he
get for the Hay fight? 3 million
a
or 4
lot,
million? I forget.
no, he would have got a lot for those two hay fights. He would have been paid well, but you've
What
got to
he would have got
remember,
combined 5 million or something.
yeah, maybe a bit more than that, maybe 6 or 7. I'm not
He'd
100%
be better off
sure.
walking away. You know, have one more fight and walk away.
Yeah, I think he could probably get another 2 or 3 million out of one. If he could fight Tyson Fury, he'll get a big payday out of that. So,
but is it worth the beating? You know what I mean? You got to ask yourself the long term. You know, he's had a tough career. A lot of people want him to retire now, don't they? I mean,
I think against Tyson Fury, against a Tyson Fury who's still not fully fit yet, it is probably worth the risk because there is still a small chance you could beat him because he's not back to his best yet, and you could get paid a lot of money to do it. So I think in that sense it is worth it, but it's not. I can understand where people are coming from who tell him to retire. I know Dave Coldwell wants him to retire.
I just think there's comes a time in every person's career when you got to know when to walk away. And in my back of my mind, I think it's time for him to walk away.
Probably. I mean, Frotch did it at the right time. Arguably, there are some people who do it too early, though. So I would say Andre Ward had 1 or 2 fights left in him still to this day. And I think that's also sad as well when you don't see someone's peak performances because
the options are dwindling. I mean, Usyk's too good. It's not a risk worth taking. Bellew.
I agree. Tyson Fury is a good fight. I think also
it's a bigger money fight.
You've also got to remember that there's a possibility that the World Boxing Super Series is going to do a heavyweight tournament this year.
Yeah.
And if they do, Tony Bellew might well get his way into that somehow.
But if there is a heavyweight one, will Anthony Joshua even be involved? I don't think he will. He doesn't need it.
No. It wouldn't be for the titles. It would sort of be for the number one contender. So you'd have the likes of Hughie Fury, Miller, maybe Povetkin, maybe Ortiz.
Wilder.
You wouldn't have Wilder or AJ. You would have like, in an ideal world, what would happen is you would have the top 8 guys who aren't Wilder and AJ, and then Wilder and AJ fight, and then whoever wins that fight fights the winner of the tournament. But that would be an ideal world.
World champions, there wouldn't be a guy who's got 3 or 4 belts like he's got. There'd just be the belts would be spread out like they were in the cruiserweight. That'd be an ideal tournament, you know.
Sure, but I'm just saying for heavyweight, like as in what is the best possible outcome now? You could have Hughie Fury, Tyson Fury, Ortiz, Povetkin, Dillian Whyte, Parker, and I don't know, throw in one other random guy, and that's still a very, very good tournament. and then the winner of it would be the #1 contender, and they would fight whoever has all 4 belts after Wilder and AJ fight. So I think that would be quite interesting too. So I mean, there's room for a heavyweight tournament without the top guys, but I get your point. It's not quite the same. That would be more a tournament for the boxing hardcores than the casual fans.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a heavyweight one's going to be, if they manage to get it, it's going to be an achievement. Because I'm not convinced they can get it done.
Yeah. I don't think they will. But it's interesting to see, like you say. It's interesting to theorise. Seedings announced ahead of World Boxing Super Series Season 2 Gala Draw. What's this? Oh, bantamweight. We know who they're all fighting now, don't we? Of course. Ryan Burnett will be facing Jason Maloney. Inoue will be fighting Donaire. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Hang on.
Let me have a look on the thing.
I think Burnett's fighting Donaire.
Ryan Burnett. Oh, it's just the seedings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Challenger. Yeah. Let me look on the thing. So
yeah, he's fighting. Donaire's fighting Burnett.
Donaire. The Zaloni Tete will be fighting Payano. Rodriguez will be fighting. Can't pronounce his name. Yeah,
there's a load of people giving Donaire abuse because he posted a picture of him and his wife eating dinner with Burnett and his wife, and people were like, well, why are you eating dinner together when you could be fighting each other? And it's like, well, because we were here for the draw and we thought we would have dinner together. Like, it's not that bad. Weird. Why is it weird?
Burnett just wants to be everybody's friend, doesn't he? He's such a friendly character.
Yeah, but Donaire's a very friendly character too.
Oh, we've got the other seedings down below for the other tournament. Down below. On that thing. Oh, no, we haven't. Yes, we have. Yeah, we've got the seedings. Reggie Progress will be fighting Anthony Egypt. Josh Taylor will be fighting Terry Flanagan, by the looks of it.
No, that's not right. Terry Flanagan.
That's the seedings, then.
Yeah, Terry Flanagan is fighting Prograr. Prograr chose Flanagan.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's a tough fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Prograr wins that one, to be honest with you. Terry's not good in a while.
So what are the other fights in that? Josh Taylor's fighting him?
Josh Taylor's fighting the American, I believe. Ricky Martin. Ryan Martin, I think.
So really, it should be a progress Taylor Fano in reality.
Yeah, I think Kirill Relic could throw an upset. Kirill Relic's not a bad fighter, at all. Josh Taylor, he's fighting Ryan Martin.
Before we move on, how the hell did Ricky Burns beat
he didn't. He didn't really.
I know he didn't, but...
Yeah, he didn't really, in my opinion. Who else is in the? Who it might have it in this article? Will Josh Taylor win a world title? This is the Daily Record or something. I think yes. I think most people agree he probably will win a world title. Yeah, so Josh Taylor will face undefeated American Ryan Martin. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty good fight. I think, obviously, the super bantamweight tournament is much more interesting. I think, Inoue, people keep thinking Inoue is gonna stomp it. I've got one contention with it, that he's just a little bit too small to fight Tete. And I think Tete probably wins that tournament. That's going to be my pick.
We've been wrong before.
But it's okay to be wrong as long as you tell people your logic as to how you got there. So yeah, Tete is is just a massive guy for the weight. He's the same sort of monster Inoue is, but he's much bigger. And then I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to say Josh Taylor Prograis final, and Josh Taylor wins on points.
That's a tough one to call. I really think that's a tough one to call.
It's a 50-50 fight for sure. But we're gonna put faith in our Scottish cousin.
I like Josh Taylor. He's a good fighter, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I've seen enough of Josh Taylor. I haven't seen a great deal of progress.
That's exactly what I think. But I know from Prograis' last fight, he didn't look all that impressive. And yeah, I think it's interesting because Terry Flanagan is still a tough fighter. And
even though he didn't lose, it still tainted his record a little bit, hasn't it?
It has, but I think Prograis has picked him because he sees, he's coming off a loss. But I don't reckon he would have seen how close the loss was, and I don't reckon he knows all that much. But if he underestimates Terry Flanagan, Terry could win that fight. I just don't see it. I think Prograis got too much power for him, though.
Do you think Terry Flanagan his career has just been led blindly now? A little bit.
Sure, but I mean, if he's good enough and he wins this tournament, he wins $25 million. So, I mean,
to be honest, his comfort zone was being a world champion, fighting people who are European level. That's where he was comfortable.
It was, but I'm glad he stepped out of it so that we can actually see whether or not he's good enough. I mean,
once he loses this, what will become of his career? I mean, really.
If he loses to Prograis, I think he'll just have to have a European level fight and look for another world title shot. But
he's as good as Kirill Relic, because I'd say he is.
Is he as good as Kirill Relic? I think that would be a fucking great fight. If he can get past Prograis somehow. Kirill Relic Flanagan's a great fight, but also Prograis Kirill Relic's a great fight, to be fair. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. Did we? Oh, of course we had some more to talk about, because obviously coming up this weekend is Parker Whyte card. There's a few fights on this card that I kind of want to go through and make predictions for, if that's okay.
Start with loads.
Well, Conor Benn is fighting Cedric Peynaud again.
Oh, I know.
And I'm going to be leaning towards Cedric Peynaud. Did you see that Nigel Benn?
I did, yeah.
He was like, if you lose to Cedric Peynaud, just give up boxing. You have to be fair, though. That is actually true. If you can't beat this guy, you've got no place in the sport, really. So, yeah, it's interesting. That's a fight I'm going to lean towards Cedric Peynaud for that one. We got Frank Buglioni fighting some nobody called Emmanuel Fuzu. Never heard of him. 10-7. Anthony Fowler is stepping up a little bit in a fight against Craig O'Brien. Not a guy I've heard of, but 8-0. What are you doing?
I'll finish now.
Ah.
Yeah, so I think, but quickly talking about that fight with not Conor Benn, I'm thinking, why is he fighting this Muppet again? It makes no sense.
No, it does, because you have to. If someone knocks you down that many times and you get a close win, I personally feel he has to go out and beat this guy comfortably. Otherwise, he's got a long way to go. And so I think it's fair enough. He'd be of the mindset where I don't want to burn any more fights on this idiot. I just want to move on my career, chalk it down to learn experience and move on. That's what Nigel Benn said. No, I disagree with that attitude. I think if you get beaten or you get close to beaten, and I personally felt like Conor Benn drew that fight, not won. Yeah, it's one of those fights where I think he should take it again, but you could be right. It can go very wrong. It can go
How
wrong.
many fights has he had now? Has he had 12 fights now?
Yes, yeah.
He should be further along than where he is, shouldn't he? Really, I'm not being funny.
Well,
At
he's
this
had
stage,
no amateur
I
career,
mean,
but
I
yeah.
know. Has
So
he been a pro 3 years now? Is it 3 years?
no, I think it's about 2.5 maybe. Uh, we've obviously got Joshua Buatsi, but he's in a TBA fight. This is an odd one though. It's for the vacant WBC International Light Heavyweight title, right?
Never heard of that.
But it's TBA. How can you have a title fight against TBA?
God knows.
That doesn't even make sense. Anthony Fowler is fighting Craig O'Brien, and Craig O'Brien's an 8-0 guy, but he's not really fought anyone. I expect Anthony Fowler to win, but at least he's stepping up to fight guys that are winning opponents with undefeated records. That's good. Katie Taylor is defending her IBF and WBA titles
We know about
against.
Kimberly Connor. I mean, she's got 13 wins and 3 losses and two draws. Well,
Yeah,
she beat Jasmine Clarkson, who was an opponent of hers, who Kate Taylor stopped in 5 rounds.
yeah, and another one that Katie Taylor bashed up. Victoria Nuella Bustos. This Kimberly Connor lost to her in a world title fight, and Katie Taylor really dominated that poor chick. So I expect Katie Taylor to smash this fight. There really isn't a lot of competition out there that's going to be able to hang with Katie Taylor, which makes it very boring, really. She's pretty much beaten all of the top people. There's one person called Danielle Pearson who is rated higher than her, but I've not really heard of anyone calling her out or anything. So, and the only reason she's rated so highly is because she's had 41 fights, 42 fights. And then obviously we've got Chantel Cameron and Jessica McCaskill, and they would be. No. I'm saying in the rankings to fight Katie Taylor, but there's only like 3 fights out there for her left, really, that are of any interest. So it's kind of weird.
Is she making any real kind of money? She must be making a fair bit.
Yes, I imagine because Sky have got that equality. Let's get women into sport. Let's do all that great stuff. I imagine they gave her quite a big contract and overpay her quite considerably compared to how many viewers she brings in. Yes, yeah. I imagine so. But that is what it is. That's up to Sky. If they want to lose money trying to promote women's boxing, maybe they can make it work. Who knows? Good luck to them. Nick Webb versus David Allen, we've already talked about, but that's on this card. Derek Chisora versus Carlos Takam. What is Derek Chisora doing with his career?
Stupid, isn't it?
Why is he fighting Carlos my days.
He'll end his career.
I don't think he will. I think it's a great scrap war that Derek Chisora just won't be motivated for.
Well, if he can't get motivated for this, then what can he get motivated for? I'm not being funny. It's time to retire.
It's for a vacant WBA International Heavyweight title. So the winner of this will probably get a world title shot because they'll be in the top 15.
But I'm not being funny. Carlos Takam doesn't deserve another title shot. And Chisora shouldn't be anywhere near one. Both guys... Chisora's passed his sell-by date. Takam's still got a bit left. But do you see where I'm coming from here?
Yeah, I think Takam, if he wins convincingly, he might deserve another shot. But I wouldn't put him in against Wilder or... Has he fought Wilder?
No, never.
Well, I'd put him in against Wilder then. But I wouldn't put him back in against AJ or Parker.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stopped Chisora and made him quit on his store. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, it would me because Derek Chisora at least has
He's
one.
tough.
He has his toughness, and also he knows like this. This is probably his last contract. This contract with Matchroom, and so he's got one more fight after this. If he loses this fight, he won't get another contract. If he wins this
If he
one,
loses this fight, he'll have to start fighting bums again on undercards on Sky, fighting like 3 or 4 bums, and then he'll magically get another fight again.
yeah, but no one wants to watch that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Dillian Whyte versus Joseph Parker. So who are we predicting? We predicting Takam for that fight, are we?
But yeah, by unanimous decision, I'm going to pick him up.
Yeah, same. Or yeah, unanimous decision. Let's move on to Joseph Parker, Dillian Whyte. I'm going to take an unpopular opinion with this fight, I think. This is the WBC silver heavyweight title, the vacant WBO international heavyweight title. So the winner of this will be top 15 guaranteed. I mean, Dillian Whyte's already #1 in most of the bodies, but
Do you think this is a strange fight, really, for Dillian Whyte when you look at it, when he's so close to a big payday? All he has to do is white out the Anthony Joshua winner and he can get a title shot in his next fight. But more money than it.
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense money, money, money. No, in the sense of career progression. After beating Brown and some of the other guys that are a bit questionable, who's the guy that beat Chisora, the Hellenius? Some of those fights are still a little bit questionable for Dillian Whyte. And so if he can beat Joseph Parker convincingly, he'll know he's ready to get back into those title fights again. So in a sense, it's actually a very good fight at the right time. But yes, it does seem like he's risking a lot to take this fight. I would take it though.
Crazy.
It's his own. It's his first time to headline a pay-per-view, so in that sense, he's going to get paid well.
Have you always seen him? To me, he's like a second. I don't want to be disrespectful, but a second-class Joshua. If I can be nice, I don't want to be. No, that's a compliment. That would be a compliment.
I think he's such a different style of fighter that's not really how I look at it. It's kind of like obviously I'm not saying these guys are anywhere near this good, but just think of like the Hagler Hearns. Like they're different body shape. Like Dillian Whyte was originally very fat and he fought very differently than he does now. But since he's changed his style, I think it's even more different to AJ's.
He's more brutal in the ring. He's more brutal. He's more powerful than he was.
He is all of those things, but I still don't think he's a power puncher. I think he's actually, if you watch his fights, what he does very effectively is he pity pats and he jabs a lot. He throws a lot of punches. He doesn't necessarily throw all of them as hard as he can. And so that really helped him in the Chisora fight where if he'd have only swung for the hills, he would have probably lost that fight. But he did enough boxing. I think Dillian Whyte is actually a very educated boxer on different things. So he's good at fighting from range. He's kind of pretty good on the inside. He's very clever at tucking up. He's hard. He's the bully. He's nasty in the clinch. And I think all of that will be a tough night's work for Parker. But Parker's all of those things as well. Parker's quite bullyish. Again, when he's fighting someone his size or someone smaller, he bullies them. When he's on the inside, he's got very, very fast hands. So it's a tough fight. It is a tough fight. I'm leaning towards Dillian Whyte, but I'm going to say he's going to be helped out by the judges. I think it's going to be a very close fight, but it will get edged to Dillian Whyte.
That's what I'm starting to think. Dillian Whyte will just pull it off. It won't be because he's a better fighter, it'll be because of the judges.
I think it'll be not necessarily all the judges, but it'll be, yeah, there's going to be some home cooking, I think. I think Parker would have to win 7 rounds to get 6. And so because of that, I probably think Whyte is going to nick it, but it's going to be a very close fight. Very close fight.
Yeah, the thing with this fight is, when it got announced, I was kind of shocked a little bit, weren't you? A little bit, with who Parker was fighting. And,
with who Whyte was fighting. I mean, for sure. But here's the thing: if you're going to be calling out all the world champions, it's best to be coming off good performances over tough guys. If Whyte beats Parker convincingly, because AJ beat him, if Whyte knocks out Parker, the fans will want the AJ rematch. And so in that sense, it is a clever move. So I can understand it. One other fight I wanted to talk about very quickly is Robert Easter Jr. is fighting Mikey Garcia.
Really? When's this?
Same night as the Parker Whyte card.
What division is that in?
Good fucking question. Lightweight, 135.
Oh, so he's staying at lightweight then, okay.
Yes. Weird. It's for the IBF World Lightweight title and the WBC World Lightweight title. And it's a big fight, really. Robert Easter Jr., he's not really put a foot wrong. He's a very stylish, classy boxer. I just think that Mikey Garcia is too big, too powerful for him. The KO ratio kind of suggests that Mikey Garcia bangs a bit harder. But it's a good close fight. Yeah,
it's Garcia's best division, isn't it?
I don't know. I would have really liked to see him enter that 140 tournament and fight Pregra, Flanagan, Relic, but he probably is going to get more money for fighting Robert Easter Jr., maybe Lomachenko at 135. So I can understand why he stayed at 135 for now.
I think he will go up to that in a couple of years.
You don't have to. You should always just move up when you naturally have to. If you can make 135, you should still make 135 because you're going to have a bit of a size advantage. And also, you're going to have to move up later in your career anyway. So you shouldn't do it too early. For sure. But he's the kind of fitness freak that he could probably get away with going up, going down, going up, going down. Luis Ortiz is on that card fighting my man, Razvan Kajanu. Yeah. Big fight. Big fight. Razvan is a beast. He's the Romanian, Tasmanian, Insanian devil, and he's going to win this fight. He's going to knock Luis Ortiz out in the 3rd round.
What other fights is there, or was that it?
No one of any great consideration. Mario Barrios, super lightweight, is fighting Jose Roman. It's not a bad fight, but it's not a great card. Other than the headline event, it's not a great. It's not a card. It could be a great card. Sometimes these fights turn into little crackers, but it's not a well-known undercard. Let's leave it at that.
Let me see if there's any more news. I think we're about out of news, aren't we?
Yeah, we've covered everything, my friend. We've covered everything. And I kind of need to get on with some work today. So what I'm going to do is let you go. And we will come back next week to discuss the winners of the Parker Whyte fight, the Takam Chisora fight. I'm quite hyped for that card. It's good to have... in some ways, it is nice to have Nick Webb and Dave Allen on the card because it turns it into like a proper heavyweight bonanza. There's a lot of heavyweight fighting on that card, so
it
should be good.
Month, isn't it? This month for boxing because you've got this and then it's pretty much over.
Yeah, it's odd. It is odd. The summer always gets a bit weird for boxing. It's not the best action, but it's not bad. Some of it's, Parker White's a big fight. I think people are less hyped about it than they should be. I don't, it's one of
I
those
think
things.
because it's happened so quickly after Joshua's fought. It's happened so quickly. It's almost like, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Like they could have saved this fight.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Right. Peace out, everyone. We will be back next week. Subscribe, leave a like if you can. Catch you soon.